So gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us today on this webinar or this video that we're recording for Saks clients. And I think that if I can give a little color commentary before I introduce you guys. So we were introduced through a great outside partner of the firm, who has worked with a lot of businesses like yourselves through this German incubator program to help these startups and these great organizations in Germany. You guys are out of Munich, to come and set up operations potentially in the United States and try to bring your business to market here in the US. And I was really excited when you guys first did the demo for me, and you know, as I had mentioned to you, we have a real deep pool of real estate clients. Real estate, construction are two of the largest industries that the firm has catered to throughout its history. And you know, when you guys brought your solution forward, I was excited to see it, to hear about it, just given the depth of experience that we have in this particular market. So I know that there's a lot of different things that PROBIS can do, and I certainly don't want to try to give that summary, because I won't do it the justice that I know you guys will. But I want to thank you, and I'll ask a few questions as we go through. But what I'm hoping you could do is give our clients and the centers of influence of Saks a real sense and sort of a summary of what the solution does, you know, for the real estate market and any other markets that you potentially serve. But you know, give us a high level value of really the things that it can do for the clients and the value that it can ultimately provide for them. And then tell us a little bit about how the company came to be, because I would love to hear that. Again, I've heard it before, but I know that a lot of our clients, I'm sure, would as well. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves first, I think that would be a great start.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Leon. I'm Moritz, here from Munich, CEO of PROBIS. Been with the company for about 15 years, but you said it before, we are a startup now. Being with the company was like more a flow on the always same in the same market. And like 2 years ago, me and 3 founders together with Marcus, we decided to really scale up, to bring in AI benchmarks and so on, go abroad. Now we founded PROBIS Software Company, and really happy to be with you here tonight, or your afternoon.
Yeah, it's true. I did. You're in a very different time frame between the two. We appreciate you playing for us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leon. Yeah, short intro for me. It's Marcus. As Morris mentioned, I'm the CPO, so I'm really into the product and try to design it and make it as easy as possible. I joined the company when we refounded start PROBIS to make it really as a tool with AI and benchmark driven to help real estate projects to run hopefully more smooth, more straightforward. And yeah, jumping to the US is our current next big task from our current clients in Europe.
Awesome. It's awesome. And I'm going to ask at some point, I'm going to bring it up now if you guys can focus on it. But obviously, you know, AI is a very hot buzzword, whatever you want to call it, you know, in the marketplace. It's a very hot topic. So I'm definitely interested in hearing how you've incorporated AI into the solution and how that has made significant improvements for you guys. So without any further ado, let's get into it, man. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how the solution can help our clients.
Yeah, perfect. Then we start with our glossy deck very swiftly, because before we jump into our software to give you an insight in all our AI and benchmark stuff that we can do with PROBIS. So we are a Bavarian or German software company that is actually operating worldwide, and worldwide is meant Europe and a little South America, doing or jumping into the US market since beginning of this year, won by an acceleration program. We have an office in New York now, and meeting up with companies. One or the other may not find our business area too sexy, but we find it. We take care of financial and cost management for real estate industry with our software solution. And today we will try to explain you, among other things, how our system PROBIS will be able, by using AI, to tell stakeholders in the real estate industry at the touch of a button which conversion or asset class mix is the most profitable for their building or their development. And development is no more, neither in Europe nor in the US. It was in the last years, it was greenfield, high-rise buildings. We come to a stage where it is more, I have a brown existing building, trying to find a new usage for it. And we think we got kind of a solution that is now very interesting for lenders and asset managers. And I bring an example. If you have an existing building with vacancies, PROBIS will tell you which conversion option by calculating it, such as demolition and a new construction, or conversion into luxury apartments and down there retail is the most economic. And coming to our story, we are still a startup. We are founded 2 years ago, but there was a PROBIS 15 years ago when Munich Airport was built, and there was an idea to install a multi-project controlling system. Even 15 years ago, they were looking for a system from which I could calculate all building costs and revenues in card as a benchmark per square feet, regardless of whether it was the whole terminal that I was building or a toilet block or restaurant somewhere on that big field. And the road to that working database, PROBIS, but also to running that airport was built back then, was more than rocky. But PROBIS was actually born, and the airport was completed more or less in cost and time. And since then, as I said before, we were running in, I'd say, 7 other major airport developments these last decades. And when I met Marcus 2 years ago, we found out that PROBIS was an old-looking monolith of software, giving you a feeling like Argus, Altus, SAP, Oracle. We have to build something new, and that is what we want to show today.
That's a great intro. That's a really great summary.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Marcus,
maybe
you want to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe to explain a little bit what this software is aiming for. What are our main customers? Our main customers are the developers, where we look on the angle of the first tipping point when you think about what could I do on a specific plot or with an existing building, and to find out what is the best option to do. And during the process of construction, which often takes, what we see in our projects, around about 5 years, how could we make sure that the ROI is still stable and is possible what I calculated, or that we generate more? Often we see that we have during the time the costs are rising up and the ROI drops, especially in the current times. It's super difficult to reach your targets. So we experience an average of 20% drop in the ROI, which is often a problem. On the owner side, especially for asset managers, we tackle the question, what could we do currently with brown buildings, as Morris mentioned. And on the lenders, we have several banks as a customer in Europe, like the BNP Paribas or the Deutsche Pfandbriefbank, the Unit Credit Group, to avoid payment defaults. So to manage the process and see what is currently done on the construction side, what is how it's reflected to the calculated budget from the day one during the whole time of this 5 years. And you can also run it afterwards for CapEx, OpEx management, and asset management. So why do we have these problems in the market? What we found out in Europe and during all our talks also in the US, that most of the big projects are steered by Excel. So we find out a ton of Excel files taped to each other to manage the project. And of course, with so many entities working in different Excel files to get an on-time overview where we are what's coming next, where is the problem, is super difficult in such large and complex projects.
Where'd you guys find a picture of my desktop? That's exactly what my desktop.
It's typical developer desktop. So you're also in real estate development.
It's actually everybody's desktop in that industries. Even banking and real estate, you'll find spreadsheets. Yeah.
The Excel nightmare. Yeah. Yeah, this was really the point where we thought, okay, how could we tackle this? And as Morris mentioned, we have this older software prototype who can deal with such large EPC project like an airport. How could we use this for any real estate project? And so we developed or started developing 2 years ago PROBIS as it is today. So as an end-to-end financial management software where you can start the first day, okay, what on this mapping, so understand what could I do, what is the best option with the best ROI, with the best performance, and especially on this piece of land, and how could I control it from the first construction day to the end before I hand it over, and further that for later for redevelopment as well to do it. I will show it later within the software on that. So, and to find the best option, we currently find out, of course, you can do it by your own. So tackle what we have currently in our database, more than 1,000 different pinpoints to nail down what is an option, what is a good option to go to do on this piece of plot. So for this, of course, AI could help a lot to find the best options, show it, and then you can adapt it really easily. During the process,
sorry, Marcus. Just to add something, what is the software doing and what is done in the market? In the market, if any developers or lenders are listening to us, normally they would go out and they would speak to quantity surveyors, to architects, to engineers, and to their own specialists to find out what is the best there at a plot. And the AI would give you an feature, and they would say a recommendation in seconds. And of course, it's not true in seconds by pressing the button, but then you go in and you modify it, and you will try to tackle the AI, and you won't reach it. So it will tell you what is the most profitable way.
And with the benchmarks, we can monitor through the whole project how the market will change. So what is your impact on the project in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, based on market changes? Now we know normally you finalize your budget planning at day 1, create a financing, but your project will be completed after 5 years. So of course there will be changes during this time. And this is where AI and benchmark comes together to see as fast as possible, as soon as possible, every day what is your stand and how will the project evolve maybe? What is the risk on the project?
So can I ask a quick question, if you guys don't mind, before we get into the demo here? So, you know, you mentioned benchmarks, and it's such a, when we look at a worldwide scale of the real estate development market, there's such a tremendous difference, and there's so many variables, right, when it comes to building real estate in New York City, as a for instance, versus New Jersey, which are 20 miles apart, in some cases less. So like, how does the benchmarking account for so many different variables, across different parts of the world, really? I mean, I would imagine building in Munich is very different than it is building in Oklahoma, right? It's like, how does it?
It totally differs, as you said. And even the US, you have different states, different local laws. You have to know them and their impact on the cost. So as Marcus said, in our data bench, you see here some of our clients. Luckily, we have data and projects worldwide, but we are far, far away from telling your listeners that we have a database that can help worldwide. We'd love to, and we will in future. But at the moment, I'd say like us, we are strong, of course, in the DACH area, where it's Germany, Austria, Switzerland. We are we are strong as we have 2 projects in New York City, strong, but we have an idea about New York, we have an idea about France, little UK, Portugal, Spain, little ideas of Asia and South America, as I said, as we had major airport projects there. But it is so totally diverse or fragmented that, of course, what we'll see in a minute when we dive into the software, we rely on external data. So we need partners, we need other databases that are easily connected to PROBIS nowadays via API REST interfaces. And of course, we read those data, and it's not only building cost or revenue cost, what can I earn out there? It is cost on the regulations. Are there listed buildings? What kind of form is the building? Is it a high rise? Am I allowed to build living there, or a factory, or? So at the moment, we have some partners out there. We are in talks with American partners as well. If somebody is listening and he's interested, we'll do it in a minute, because the clients that you see there, we brought some clients of ours that are worldwide. Most of them are in the US and in Europe dealing, and they all look for solutions where they could press the button and say, I'm in New Jersey now, because Markus and Moritz would say, New Jersey, give me a minute.
So that's also, so the data really is compounding upon itself, right? So as a client, the more clients that you bring on, the better that their data and the accuracy of the data is only going to improve and increase as time moves on, which is awesome.
Yeah. And the guys who really have the big data is the lenders, because the lender gets of all the asset managers and the developers all their data. So they might not know it yet from the guys we know, but they find out at the moment that they could know a lot and have like really data in their hands.
So message to Sachs Lending Partners, if you're listening to this, let's make the call.
Yeah.
They'll be on.
Directly. That's it. So for last to this slide, I said it before. We are from Munich. We are the guys with the lederhosen, with the hats, with the big beer mugs. So anybody listening, if you want to know what is the best beer garden or best restaurant in Munich, of course, reach out. But even more important, have a look to what is coming now, because Marcus designed all that stuff that we will see in a minute that has 8 apps. But I'd say we directly jump into the 8 apps designed by Marcus, and then you'll get a feeling what we are bringing here. So Marcus, I swiftly start, and then you can dive into the project. What is I said in the beginning, multi-project management. If you're a lender or a developer or an asset manager and you have more than one project, or you are calculating more than one project and owning buildings, then this is just your starting screen showing you your different assets. That might be, the first one might be still in calculation, and the second one is built at the moment, and the third one you just bought and is an existing building. That depends on you. We have clients, they would have like 90 different projects there that you would see, or assets. And the multi-project management gives you the possibility, before we dive into a project, as an upper person, you would see the first one is green and the next one is yellow and red. You might have an idea, okay, the red one, I should dive in because some traffic light, some early warning system is telling me, have a look into it. And of course, that sea of different projects, you're able to filter. So what Marcus is starting out there, you could say, only show me my projects in New York City, only show me office, and then you'll only see 4 projects. And then you could ask, give me a media of building cost of high-rise buildings, or tell me where is company XYZ involved, or how long does it take to bring a change order to something. So you're totally able to ask that data cube every question, because the database is holding all the data. And as long as you have in all the projects some same dimensions, And the dimension could be very easy. In every project, you will have one line saying building cost. You might have into the weeds hundred thousands of lines, but if you bring it to square feet and building cost, then we can compare it with all the other projects. And Markus, now I'm silent, dive in.
So let's jump in one of the projects. It's really just a rough example. So you see there first a dashboard which could be customized to any client, which should show you over time the most important KPIs at your fingertip, and gives you also the possibility to structure your project. So invite people or groups to link it to your external systems. For example, here to Yardi, to a data warehouse system, to SAP, Oracle. So all the standard systems where you normally interact during the whole process, or a CRM system. So this is just the base setup. Then when you start with a project, there are two main points. One is our project screen, where we can load, like here, an already existing construction, or you can define what you want to build here in square meters or square foot. Sorry when sometimes it's just switching a little bit between English and German here. And on the other side, the budgeting side, where you can calculate in revenue, in costs, and risk and finance your project on the financial side. So if we are normally in project and we start with nothing here, now the question is, what could I build, for example, on this piece of land? So for this, we have, as I mentioned, the AI and benchmarking part, we call it the modeler. So where you get any information what you typically need to decide what type of building, what type of usage I want to build on this plot, and on which sides and which dimensions. So for example, here in Munich, you get the information here from via Google Maps. What is the surrounding, how far your plot is from the city center, what are train station, bus station, how far is the airport. Get some surrounding informations of like hot places, landmarks, shopping, grocery, and so on. You get the information, what are the developments or planned developments or changes in the city, so major developments. How good is your area? How is this rural area in development? What is the most usage type around there? Here, for example, we have EZ Research is a German provider. We integrated to give us this data. And here's something like the zoning information, how many people you can reach by car or by train and so on with your location.
Markus, let me add one thing. And of course, it will tell you, if you're a developer, how many office buildings will be finished in what kind of time. So the database knows from external data, if you say, I want to build an office there, it will tell you there are 3 planned buildings in the next 5 miles. Or if you say retail, it will tell you that and that. That always belongs, of course, to the quality of data, but that is already there. If we would say like New York and Munich, you'll have those data.
That's really cool.
And you see it here. Yeah, you see the green ones is already built, and the red ones here is under construction. And you also see vacancies. So in Germany, what is in the US, Zillow, for example, is here ImmoScout. So where we scrape the information and present it here, so that you see in the asset class, okay, what is currently in development around me, and what is in my asset class currently the construction price, the rent price, the sales price, what is the demand in the different categories, how is the vacancy over the last years developed, and the price development on rent or on sales price, and also drill down per asset class to the normally common sizes, like your 1 room, 2 room, 3 room, or 4 room flats. Same we can do on office space, and so on. Often then the data provider changed so that we can collect all the data, but you have all the data in your fingertip here, as well, like the macro data, where we use also external services that you get the information, okay, what is on this piece of plot possible to build, how much square meter or square foot I can build, how tall I can build, what are the usage types which is currently in use, what are options which is also possible on this spot, and as well what is on the surrounding, because you see it here, last development was in 1902, so I guess a lot of things changed around me. So I can think about, okay, how could I adapt this? How could I maybe build a bigger building, or could switch to other usage class when I make my planning? So you have everything what you need here in your fingertip to do the first design of your building. And with this, you directly get out of our cost database a match of what does it cost and what will be the value you can create on that, so that you get immediately a first rough calculation. Does it make sense to build this type of structure in these dimensions on this piece of plot?
Marcus, hold it. Marcus, can you jump in again? I only want to explain shortly what we see there, what you already said. We see that blue column telling that is the software that tells you, and that is not design, but it tells you cost and area. It tells you put gastronomy for, in that example, for is it 23%, and the next big column tells you, okay, you're on the most profitable side if you put in 23% of office, because the software knows at that direct plot you are allowed to build gastronomy, and there's not many restaurants, but people will go there. The software knows, okay, there is still office space needed, and you will get a good rent or a more profitable rent than you would do luxury living, because nobody wants to live in that area, and so on. So that is like by pressing the button, the software gets all these data. And if you see what a person would do, the three of us sitting here, of course, we would start and we would just believe and take what we know. We would say like, okay, that is building cost and we know the area, but we wouldn't know what other buildings are built there and what is the neighbors and what is listed and so on and so on. And I just takes all information and gives you that most profitable result. And we always say, Marcus and me, most profitable, because our software is a cost and finance management software. It's not so much giving you social aspects and so on. It's brought in by the data, but we come around with dollars and telling you here the best money is if you do that.
Moritz, I just figured out why you know where all the good beer gardens are, because the software is telling you where they're.
Yeah,
exactly.
Of course,
the best and cheapest beer.
Yeah, the best, cheapest beer and no surroundings. That's
in
actually
version 2, right? In revision 2, you'll have to include where the hottest beer gardens are.
Yeah, we do that. We do a version of hottest beer gardens in Bavaria and New York.
That's why you guys know. Really. And what I love about it, is that the user experience and the interface is I mean, it's pretty, it's simple, it's easy to use, and I think that goes a long way when you're talking about, what is relatively complex, not relatively, what is very complex software, but you're presenting it in a way that's very, easy to see and easy to manipulate, which is really, really cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
That's the idea behind it, and it's actually Marcus. He's here with us. He designed all of it. So Marcus, that is the idea behind it, because as Leon, as you said, it's lenders, it's developers, and many of those guys are real geniuses and table-based, really number crunchers. But others, they will need aggregated information and graphics and maps and so on. And Marcus brought it all together.
Very cool.
Also on the point, Leon, what you mentioned in the beginning. So where's the AI? Where is the real AI, and where
Yeah.
does it really help to make sense? When we look on all these tabs and informations, you have a lot of different dimensions to optimize to define what you can build here. It looks super simple, but often you go to an architect, make a first draw. What could I do there? Yeah, you look on all the databases, collect the stuff, put it in your Excel file, and play around and try to optimize it by best guess and with all the parameters. And when you go step by step more down, so break it down on different elements like what is the heating system, what is the lighting, how make it energy efficient, how to tackle different certificates like LEED or GRESB, and so on. It's getting more and more complex. So you get thousands of dimensions for optimization to find the best fitting model. And of course, you can do it. We try to make it as easy as possible to do it by your own. But as well, what we currently are working on is to make an AI part of that. Here are our history. So where you can create what you have normally, where you create a lot of different Excel files to play around with. Hey, what would be if I build an office tower or a multi-usage site or residential? We currently working on this AI scenario builder. So where we go like we connect on ChatGPT, OpenAI behind that, so that you can tell the engine what you want to build and which direction you want to optimize. For example, here I want to tackle well gold, maximize ROI. Let's see what's the best option on that. And in the background, what we are doing, we go through all these different options dimensions, multi-dimensional regression and linear optimization to find what could work best on that and create a full cost structure and also a project element. Of course, you can go afterwards in and say, no, I don't like this and I don't like that, and I change here the square foot of this building, or change here the revenue models, or also the cost structure. But with just a few clicks and easy sentence, we can generate and find what is the optimum in the market, or maybe the most optimum.
Can you jump back to the cost, please? Just to no, stay there and go down to cost. Just to give an explanation what we see there. That for those who are developers, they will know this is a development calculation of revenues, of building cost, of risk, and of the financing structure I'll have. And what we see there is your cost breakdown. That is not the software. The software is not giving you a standard. You're giving standard. So if you're Tishman Speyer or Brookfield, you will always have your calculation, and that is just brought in there. And you'll see one cost element will say what you always do, shell and core, and I need some area or space, and then I'll have my benchmark, and that is a benchmark out of your projects or out of external data, or of course if you know best, then it is your cost, and then it will tell you total cost, and behind you see those columns, and this is nothing else than the cash flow over time. If we have the example of shell and core, they will say like, okay, it takes me 18 months and it will be S-curved. So in the beginning, not too much, and then high money, and in the end, not too much. And the software will track actuals as well. So you start and you calculate something, the AI will tell you this and that. And then at one stage, you buy a land, you buy a house, you go into refurbishing and so on, and the software will tell you started with KPIs and you have shell and core, and you said you'll have it in 18 months, and after 6 months, if we take the example where we have a little red, if you go with the mouse there, Marcus, yeah, it will tell you should have been, it's very light, the yellow column or the yellow line will tell you today, and you should be there. And we see, but you're only at 30%. So the software is tracking and giving you early warnings and will say, have a look into that. So we come out of calculation, AI can help you, and then we go in direct cost tracking and monitoring. Yeah, just to go into the weeds there. hopefully not to bore anybody with that, but that is the real thing behind it. Yeah.
So how much, let me ask you guys this question, how much, let's say, so I'm a new client and I want to onboard the solution, right? How much data entry is involved up front? What is the implementation like? Is there some sort of an implementation program or process that you guys get involved in, like before I'm ready to rock and roll?
Normally it takes you also larger developers. Depends on if you want to move a lot of projects into the system. Yeah, we now took all the access and converted and bring it in. It's often something like 2 days.
Okay,
to
quick.
happy to convert it, and then we typically do a 2 days workshop to onboard people on the software, and depends on how many countries we have to cover or how many different departments around also the US. Maybe you offer several onboarding workshops to help the people and have a directly integrated support. So this normally is enough to jumpstart into the software. We have a lot of in also help flows within the software, so that brings you directly on track on the system.
Cool. That's great. So it's a relatively short amount of time to really get up to speed, start leveraging the tool.
To bring in data, we have interfaces, we have Excel importers to handle the software. Just to give you a feeling, the software, as before you click, Marcus, we saw project. You know how your building will look, and you will say, like, I've 27 storages and they all look same, and it's high class offices and there are as many square feet. Then you have all your areas and spaces in the module project, and calculate will always refer to that. And the benchmarks are there. So you start with the calculation by pressing the button, and you have a filled calculation. And then you only go in and you modify. And how do you modify? If Marcus, if you just give us a feeling, he clicked now, there are better ones, Marcus. If you just click one of those cost elements that is already filled, then you go in, and if you feel the cost per square meter, I have to overwrite them, then you just see them there and you overwrite them. Or if you have a document and you say, Shell and Core, I got some PDF document that I need there, then you just go in and drag and drop it there. Really, we build it that it is as easy as an app. It's not, and everybody who is from real estate will know, you have to be out of controlling. You have to know the difference between a budget and a forecast and a contract. But then if you know that, it's easy like an app, and you have an historization, so you always know after rides and rolls if somebody is allowed. Like you see Nikos and Moritz, they were allowed, they changed something there. You will directly see what have they done at what time, and then you have a commentary function that you can chat. I could say, Leon, I just overwrote building cost because we are New Jersey and I thought it's less than in New York. What do you think? So that's from how you handle it.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you guys leave room for the manual override, because to your point, some of this still has to, some of it still has to go based on experience and, tenure in a marketplace and relevant real life examples, which is it's an important variable, especially as you talk about a global scale.
Yeah.
And also based on the template, you can decide on which point you want to be more open, or which structure should be fixed, so that I can compare any project within my company at least.
What is, I mean, this solution is incredible, guys. And my question is, what, outside of the obvious, which we talked about already, which is, desktops full of Excel spreadsheets, what is the competitive landscape look like? Like, is there anyone that does anything like this right now in the marketplace?
We are actually there. We are kind of a one-stop shop that we'll show in a minute, and we won't do it really into the weeds, because after that calculation, you will have contract management and you have workflow engines with processes. You will have invoicing. We have a financing tool for lenders and for your loans and stuff and so on. But I'd say if we are talking with Sachs here, competitors in the US would be parts of it for the calculation. You're kind of used to Argus sheets. Argus Altus would be a competitor for one module of ours. For the controlling module, you will have Procore, but that would only be contract and invoice or ours. Then the finance part with the lenders, you have a software of Oracle that is Textura, that is a part, that is a competitor. We don't know a one-stop shop yet that has it all. And not to get it wrong, we didn't do some high fly thing to just say we have. We
Sure.
tried as easy, because it's not rocket science to start with a calculation and an asset management. Because Marcus will show in a minute, we have rent and sales. You have all your rental agreements, and you know how long will somebody be in a flat, in a space, and what is incentives and so on.
Yeah, let's get into that. Really cool stuff. I remember seeing that when we did this the first time.
Yeah.
Should
we jump there now to rent and sales?
I think that would be really cool. I'm trying to be cognizant of people's time too, so I want to make sure we stay on track.
Here you see also exactly the rental contracts and all the stages. You can jump in. You see the rental contract, the contracting time, who are the parties, which elements are currently add to this. So out of the project, you can add all the elements, all the parking lots, and so on. Define the net rent. What are the additionals? You can also build something like something like rework there and calculate it. Define special conditions and put a contract in. So with this, you know exactly all which elements are rented for which amount of money, when. So what is your whole project state? Same on the sales side. It looks exactly the same. It's just the sales contract now with all the information what you need, so that you also get the information on your balance sheet here and calculate when you can expect which earnings. What is the value of your building? What did you plan in the beginning, and what is the reality when it drops in with real rental or sales contract, and how does it fit? Same what we have on the cost structure. Now, if we make contracts, we have an easy module where you can define all the elements to make a contract. You can handle here the additionals and make reserve budgets and how to spend it, and a process for all the invoices. So when invoices comes in, we have an AI which read out all the documents, match it to the contract, and see where are you over budget, under budget. Is this invoice correct? And could I approve it? And you can run a process. Normally here we are linked to Oracle, Yardi, SAP for the payouts. And via API, we get then the information back here in the system. So the payouts was done, so that you don't have to type all the informations again in a second system by hand. So it's really one workflow at all in that. And of course, you have the reporting within the project. So if you are on track or not, and you can drill down and compare really on the cost side different variants, what we have here in the history. Maybe last point, when we look on such a project,
Marcus, just stay there for 1 second. And to everybody who's listening, we are not diving deeper, but go back to reports or to history, just to explain one picture, because we've seen a lot. I said it's not rocket science. It's just from calculation into asset management, all cost management data. And what we see there is the different versions over time. How did my calculation change? So if, Marcus, if you start with the mouse at the initial one to the left side, you will you will have started and you have maybe only 3 lines. And then the next step, you see that tree, you said like, okay, will I have an office tower, residential or mixed use? And it would have told you you have mixed use because your IRR and ROI is double like the others. And so you will always see what you've done. It's not, I'm not putting an Excel in the cupboard behind me and it's left there. You have always the data that Marcus was showing just before. When you click into the version, then on the right side, you will have an overview at that time, what were the costs and the areas and the forecast and so on. And that's like brought all together in the end, that you will always have an overview over your financials over the time. And it doesn't matter where you start. If you start in asset management or on greenfield, if you're a lender, same, you will monitor from the other side. They're using it big time here in Europe.
Maybe one last element. When you think about, you have multiple projects as a company, you have a lot of tied equity. And the question is, every project is somehow developing good or maybe not that good. In the current time, it's getting more and more critical to get really every day an understanding where your whole company with all the projects are. And this is what we did then, is we aggregate all the data of all the projects and show it here in a company overview. So we can show all the liquidity, all the tied equity and debt, how it's your EBIT is developing, what is the past and what is the forecast. Based on the model, what we have on the benchmarks, we assume what is the maximum risk at any time we see there, and where it maybe could get so wrong that you end up in a bankruptcy. So to have really here a density forecast on the project, and you can drill deeper on that to see, okay, where these problems maybe occur, where it comes from. So you can go in the project, see what was my forecast, what was planned, how does the reality currently dropped in, and what is the cascade where it comes from. So with this, you can get really an understanding of all the projects, which projects have maybe a negative impact, and what could I do with it. Where it comes from, do I need more financing? Do I have to change my complete own capital structure behind that? You see it every day, so you're really early prepared, hopefully, for what's coming next and how to steer the project in the future. Exactly that's what we have in the beginning. Don't lose money, that we really target the ROI from day one to reach it and to nail it, and to avoid cost overruns during the whole project time.
It's spectacular. I don't want to give people too much. I don't want to give them any more than that.
We already gave them too much.
For those that listen to this podcast here, I think it's important that we brought this forward to the Saks clients because we believe that this is a really compelling solution and it's something that could provide tremendous value. And I think what you guys have done in an increasingly technological and AI-based landscape or world that we live in, you've done something that so many others wrestle with, is that we all are surrounded by data, but we don't necessarily know what to do with that data. And you're creating actionable intelligence based on real data. You're giving people the ability to run scenarios and to sort of see things that they wouldn't have otherwise seen, trends, based on a massive amount of data that they have and that they've generated without ever using before. It's a very, very impressive tool. And we're gonna, at the end of this recording, we're gonna include all of the contact details for PROBIS, for you guys, and have people reach out to schedule time to meet with you guys, individually. I think there's a lot of opportunity for Saks clients specifically, but for real estate organizations that we cater to, lenders big time. I think this is a very compelling solution for them. And I'd love I'd love to give people the opportunity to see even more. So this is just a taste. And I think from here, you guys are available to help really get this thing going here in the States. What a great solution, guys! It's really awesome.
Thanks so much, Leon. And no, it's everybody reach out to us, as I said, for the solution and for the beer garden.